Pleased to be joined now by the Canucks premier marquee and all sorts of other things, off-season signing. Jason Garrison of White Rock, who is realizing the dream of playing for the team he grew up cheering for. In a moment, we'll talk about the pressure that goes with that. But first, tonight's game. Where did it go wrong?
Well, I mean, we obviously had a good start. And you know, they have a lot of firepower, so you gotta be aware at all times on the ice, and you know, gave up some chances, and you know, they capitalized.
Seems as though you lost energy after the third goal that they scored, and then after that, it's as though they smelled blood. Did you see it the same way?
I mean, we knew that they came off a back-to-back, and you know, we thought our energy was better than theirs, but you know, they seemed to stick with it, and you know, we had some good shifts in their end, but just, you know, couldn't put the puck at the back on net at the right times.
Local boy comes home to play for the Canucks. The homecoming story really is irresistible, but with it comes a ton of pressure. Did you have any realistic idea of what you were getting into?
Definitely not. You know, it was the free agent situation. It's, you know, kind of something that happens within a span of a few hours, and you know, it sinks in, you know, for the following weeks to come. So, you know, it wasn't until, you know, after the lockout and, you know, getting back together with the guys and starting the games that you really realize how much pressure there is, and how much this community and is behind this team, and everybody wants to win.
Okay, tweet from Anna Forsyth. Ask Garrison if great fans in Vancouver make it worth all the extra pressure that he's playing under in such a big hockey market.
Absolutely. I mean, it's
yeah, there is only one correct answer to that question.
That's right. Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. You know, it's what you play for. So, you know, it's fun coming to the rink every day, and fun, you know, playing in front of so many fans.
How about the media responsibilities? Because they're huge here, and this is one of the biggest hockey markets in the entire world, and you'd live it every single day. How do you handle those?
I think you come into the rink and you know what to expect. You know, there's going to be a lot of you know, a lot of guys at the rink wanting to know answers, and you know, it's part of the job. So I think you know, when your name's called to answer questions or to get media, then you know, it's a professional, and you know, you just you be a professional and answer the questions.
All right, 16 goals last season, which is what made you such a hot commodity, and that's a Florida franchise record for defensemen. I think you said earlier today 13 of them scored on the cannon from the point. Where does the shot come from?
That's a good question. I mean, it's something that I kind of always had at some point. It started at my age, and you know, everybody just told me to shoot the puck, so it's worked out for me.
Well, as we look at the blast from the point, that wasn't quite from the blue line, but nonetheless, we've got a piece of videotape of you with your father, Brent, in front of the family insurance business in White Rock. And what I noted as soon as I saw this is Brent looks like he hasn't missed many workouts. Do we conclude that strength runs in the family?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
and can
sure,
you keep up with him?
Yeah, no, probably not. I mean, he's my family's about health and staying healthy, and they keep in shape. So growing up, it was something that everybody did. Everybody loved to be out in the outdoors, and so it was, you know, fortunate for me. I you know, just followed his footsteps.
Okay, it's been well documented that you're a late bloomer, and we're going to get into that in greater depth in our next segment. But for now, your father says that you started out as a great skater, but then you were hampered by one of the essentials in skating, which was your feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here he is.
He was a good skater when he was a little kid, right? Like, I remember it took him 2 laps and he was on his own. Then he went through, I guess his feet got bigger than his body, right? And went through a time where his body couldn't keep up, or his legs couldn't keep up, one or the other, right? And got a little, you were a little sloppy skater at one, you know, because his feet were size 10 and he was like this tall, right? So he didn't really start growing till he was 16, 17, right?
Well, we'll assume you finally grown into your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point everybody grows into their feet. So yeah, it was a late start for me, but you know, it's just, yeah, I guess part of growing up.
All right, our thanks to Joey Kenward of Canuck TV for providing that video. It's part of the Canuck TV's homecoming series. Just got a nice shot of your feet. You were a teammate of Mason Raymond's at the University of Minnesota Duluth for 2 years, so you're friends from 6 or 7 years ago, very close friends. Here's a question on videotape.
Hey Jason, It's Mason from Cochrane, Alberta. What's your recipe for a fried egg sandwich?
Now, what's he talking about?
Well, you know what? The first day that we met, we came to Duluth, and we got there late August, but I guess they had the week off. All the other guys had the week off, so we didn't know that coming in. We stayed at a senior's house. They weren't there. And then the coaches called me and said, Mason Raymond's coming in at the same time, so you guys will hang out for a few days by yourself. So he got in, and you could tell he was a little bit of a lost puppy and didn't really know what to do. He was hungry when he got in, and I was like, what do you feel like eating? There's not much around the house. And so all there was some eggs, some bagels, I think some cheese, and I just put together a nice egg sandwich. And he was amazed. I mean, he wanted those for the rest of the 2 years.
So basically, you saved Mason's life.
Well, I taught him how to make an egg sandwich. Yeah.
Here's a tweet.
I did not know him. No, I heard of him. We were supposed to play each other in the playoffs that year.
Right.
Unfortunately for Nanaimo, we didn't make it, but yeah, I heard of him, and he was obviously had a really good year.
Yeah. Tweet here from Brown DeBure. Does he know that he looks exactly like Ellis from Die Hard? I think we got it here somewhere. Yeah, there you go.
That's uncanny.
That's I've heard that before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, someone's told me that before. I don't know. I guess it's the beard.
Yeah, I think Ellis was played by Hart Bachner in Die Hard, and he was a great villain. Anyway, have you guys ever been spotted in the same room together?
No.
Jason Garrison, our guest on After Hour. Jason Garrison of the Vancouver Canucks, our guest. Here's a tweet from Brian. His Twitter address is @CanuckleSmith. Where's the best place to pick up women in White Rock, the OB or the Sandpiper?
Oh, I haven't been to those places in years.
Okay, you don't have to answer that. I just thought it was a neat question.
Yeah, maybe the OB.
Okay, good. There you go. Little plug for the OB.
No.
To the wonderful story of how you blossomed late in your career. Let's start with this. How many teams were you cut from as a kid?
I think every team I tried out for I was cut from. Yeah, I mean, it was. I grew up. I played a little bit in Burnaby, and a little bit in Aldergrove. And when I got to Semiahmoo, it was a bigger association. A lot of players, and it was hard to really make the rep teams. And it was good. I had a core group of friends that we always kind of made the same team, and just kept kind of playing. And year to year it went by, and guys filtered out to juniors, and finally we kind of got our opportunity to play midget AAA, and then you really get a sense of how competitive hockey can be, and you want to play more and move that further into junior.
So you didn't play junior until you were 18, and then it was with the Richmond Junior B Sockeyes, with whom you won a Canadian championship. What happened on the night of Game 3 of a playoff series that changed your life?
Yeah, I just came off an injury, and the series was tied 1-1. And I had a couple goals and maybe a couple assists, and Bill Beswick, the coach from Nanaimo, his wife was in the stands, recruited me. She ended up telling Bill, who wasn't at the game, to look into this kid, and I ended up seeing my coach for Junior B later on in the summer, and he said really I only had two options, and one was Nanaimo and one was a team I think in Manitoba. And unfortunately, OCN, that's right. And fortunately, it worked out that I just moved across to the island.
You happen to be sitting next to one of the owners of the Nanaimo Clippers.
Yep.
And I can give you some good news. They won in overtime tonight, so they're up 2-0 on
that's great
Alberni.
news. That's great news.
Do you still follow them along?
I've connected with a lot of guys. I know there's my billet parents from there. They give me the updates, and obviously Michael Olson. And there's a couple other guys that have throughout the years were coaches and kind of in and out a bit. So, it's always good to see those guys. And we had such a good team and such great guys, that you'll forever be friends.
Great building to play out of, the Frank Crane Arena.
Crane.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah, it's an awesome. Oh my goodness, look at that.
You don't look like Ellis there.
I know, I look like a girl.
So Nanaimo got you the scholarship to Minnesota Duluth, and that set the stage for you to sign with Florida. If not for Mrs. Beswick, what would you be doing?
At the time, I was pipe insulating. So it was.
You ever send her flowers or anything?
She knows how I feel. I mean, I've told her many times, but no, it's funny how things work out like that, and fortunate, just kind of right place at the right time.
Why do you think you bloomed later, and why, I guess, how quickly you bloomed, in the sense that most guys go to the minors, and late bloomers like that, they have to spend some time. You're only in the minors for a year and a half. That surprised me.
I mean, I think when I decided to take hockey seriously was kind of around the same time that I grew up and got a bit bigger. And every summer I came back and worked as hard as I could to try to get better and try to come into training camp with a step above everybody else, and try to make a good impression. So, it's when you only have so much time to develop, you got to be a quick learner. And that's something that I did, and I learned from other players, experienced guys, and it worked out. I mean, I just kept to it, and put my head down and worked hard.
3 years at Minnesota Duluth, where for about the third time in your career you were not drafted, and this time into the NHL. So your career path wasn't nearly as clear as it's been for most, if not all, of your teammates. Do you think you might have a greater appreciation for where you are now?
I think every player in that room appreciates where they are, but for me, it's maybe the percentage is a lot lower, kind of the path I took. So I come into the rink every day with a smile on my face and know that how fortunate a position I'm in. You
haven't said no to a lot of appearances in Vancouver, and one that I think stood out for you was marching in Vancouver's Gay Pride Parade with Manny Malhotra and Patrick Burke, who started the You Can Play movement. Why did you do it?
It was right around the time I signed, and they asked if I could do it, and I've obviously I've known about it. It's a summer thing here in Vancouver, so it was really just I was flattered, and it stands for a good cause. Obviously, I think that erasing discrimination and from our society, and whoever wants to play can play. So it's a good message.
Absolutely. If you can play, you can play. It's pretty simple. Jason, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it. Jason Garrison of the Vancouver Canucks, 27 games into his homecoming, has been our guest in After Hours.